I was good, chat. It's your boy Evan here with another video. This is in a slightly different direction than yesterday, in the sense that one, this ain't really about politics, it's more about lifestyle and culture. Two, this is a bit more improv. I haven't read this article and I thought that we could read it together and see what we could gather now. This lady says she's on a mission to stop virgin men from joining angry incel communities, and here's how she's performing this public service. Now you could take a wild guess as to how a woman who's portrayed and dressed like this is preventing men from becoming incels. Yeah, I think we know where this is going, right? So I might have to censor some of this out, to be honest. Yeah, it's not age appropriate, but so she is making a sale to stop incels. A model a model says she's planning to have sex with virgin men to give them a great first experience and stop them from joining angry incel forums. Cami Strella, who makes $220,000 a month on OnlyFans, model, says she's been inspired to help inexperienced youngsters after watching the Netflix crime drama Adolescence, which centers around the dangers of the incel community. I consider this a form of public servants, the bombshell told Jam Press. I want to help those who have never had sex before avoid going down a wrong path. All the virgins will be 18 and over. Shit, I would hope, right? had to preface, we're not diddling no kids, bro. With Strella looking to help young men who may struggle socially or lack confidence. People have a desperate need for connection, she explains. We live in a world that offers instant gratification through the things like dating apps without providing a deeper bond. I want to show them, the men, what real connection can look like, even when it's with a sex worker. See, that in itself is an oxymoronic statement, bro. You're not gonna have a real connection with a sex worker, and you selling to men that you could, in it of itself, is just deceiving. I think you may be putting men on a worse track than they were before. The content creator further proclaimed, in my opinion, that kind of connection can feel validating, and when it's done right, it can actually be therapeutic. Well, that's where we agree, right? If you got an actual human connection that's done right, yeah, it's gonna feel good, it's gonna feel right, it's gonna feel therapeutic, right? This is not the right way to do it. There's zero ways you could do this right as a sex worker with a John. You know, let's call it what it is. It's prostitution, bro. Like, don't matter how much lipstick you put on the pig, bro, is not what you're making it out to be. Strella, who is a former neuroscience student, says that many young men simply want to be seen and validated. And for those who might raise their eyebrows about fellas working or forking out cash to get into bed with her, the beauty says it's better than the alternative. That's such a non-argument, right? It's like, it's like telling people, it's like, oh, well, this guy has homicidal tendencies, homicidal inclinations, so we're gonna let him kill, bunnies, dogs, and cats to kind of get it out before he starts killing people. Like, no, bro. You need to nip it in the butt in the beginning, dog. You can't allow this to progress. You can't allow them to let off steam in a way that you think is not as bad. You need to curb bad behavior. I believe that engaging with a sex worker is a much healthier thing to do than going on an incel forum, Strella said. They, the incels, are following people that they think are thought leaders, but those men don't know anything about masculinity, and leave it to a woman to tell you what masculinity is, right? But at the same time, I kind of agree, because some of these forums, bro, some of them, it's the blind leading the blind, and that's just, it is bad, right? You kind of need someone with an outside perspective, different perspective, to have that dialogue and discourse with. I feel like a lot of young men, like, you are who you hang out with in a lot of cases. So I think that if you have a young man who's struggling with ladies and stuff, he's probably hanging out with a lot of other young men who are struggling with ladies and stuff. And so you go out to find answers to these things, and you're not going to get them from the community that you're involved in. So the first person you come across that looks like they're having some success, you're kind of going to be more inclined to believe them because you don't know no better. That's the end of the article. So let's see some of the replies to this, right? It's still fairly new. My mom's caregiver, what the heck? She's doing them such a great service. She's really not, dog. New York Post, not even gonna touch that. Most incels are married men. Yeah, okay, dog. I mean, are there men that don't sleep with their wives? Yeah. But if your wife tells you to sleep on the couch one night, does that make you involuntarily celibate in that moment? Like, it's crazy to me, bro. Like, you have a lot of men who didn't have a dad in their house, and they'll tell you what marriage life is supposed to look like, right? Yeah. You know, don't. And to my fellow men that are married, I would say don't be discouraged if you're having rough patches. You know, those are things you should want to work through. You know, talk to your pastor together. Try to spice things up, take your wife on dates. I think one thing that's lost in today's culture is the idea of like continuously dating, continuously courting. But with that said, sex isn't a transactional thing, right? As much as influencers would like to sell it that way, you can't go on a date and be like, okay, I paid the money, where's my top? Like, it don't work that way, brody. Hi, I'm a whore who's going to try to justify being a whore. You guys are running straightforward OnlyFans ads now. You post this regularly now, and it's always just clickbait built around an ad for someone's OnlyFans. Cut this out, it's gross. Okay, I like that. This is just fucking gross. Stop being a hoe and marry a God-fearing man. So this is an interesting thing, right? Because a lot of, you know, my fellow Christians, my fellow Catholics, like, you kind of have this tendency to treat people with a scarlet letter. But while I do think it is important that we rebuke and discourage bad behavior, especially like sex work, things that trivialize like the flesh union, I also think that we need to really come back to the concept of forgiveness, right? So there have been women that have changed their lives around, and it's like, it's not an easy thing to do once you've bit the fruit, once you've gotten to taste the side of life that, you know, leads to damnation but feels pretty fucking sweet at the time. It's really hard to turn around, you know. Now, with that said, there are grifters. You know, there are going to be people that know that they could potentially profit more from being the saved again Christian rather than continuing OnlyFans, because I think that there is a timer on how lucrative the OnlyFans industry can be for a young lady. So, I mean, as long as it's genuine, I think we do need to treat a lot more of these ex-sex workers with respect, right? You know, bring them back into the fold, bring them to church every week, bring them into your Bible studies, bring them into your book club. Because, you know, it takes a community, you know, it takes a fellowship, if you will. This fugly hooker makes that much, she must do some nasty stuff. See, I'm not really a big fan of ad hominem, but I would be lying if I said I don't also fall into ad hominem when I'm very passionate about something. You know, you see a little bit of the hood kind of creep out, and it's not the scholarly approach. You know, it's not the gentleman's approach, it's not the Christian approach, and I'm trying to do better with that. You might see it leak out sometimes, but you know, I'm a work in progress, man. Yawn. Skank. 2 of those titties are 2 thumbs down. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Sounds like a noble cause, but it's a slippery slope. I agree and disagree. I don't think it's a noble cause, but I think that she believes it's a noble cause. I genuinely think that if she's doing stuff like this, and citing, oh, I'm trying to, prevent like incels. There's some people that legitimately think that like, oh, if a guy just has sex, he's gonna be fixed. Now there's a lot of more issues behind that, dog, because one, you've trivialized sex to him, so now he might be more inclined to seek out these alternatives, these ladies of the night, and that's not good for your brain either, bro. I do think that the larger issue is a social ineptitude. I think it's a lack of positive male role models in the house. So she may think that she's doing something really good for them, but I just respectfully disagree. Like, this is not the way to do it, bro. I'm doing my part. Where's that from? It looks like a real world ad for like Halo. Like, it's funny. Oh fuck. Can you please stop posting shit? See, I mean, I get it, but I do think that things like this need to be told. I probably wouldn't have done it in such a glazing manner, right? Because this article is very, very sweet to her. With that said, I mean, don't be disrespectful, but I think there's a much more neutral way to word this, because this isn't a public service, it's a public disservice. Anywho, that's the article. I'm gonna pray for this young lady that she change her wicked ways. I'd really appreciate, guys, if you could like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let me know what I did well, let me know what I did wrong, let me know what you want me to cover, and I will see you next time.